So that's my memory. Now I'm going to introduce to you now Lieutenant General retired Harold G. Moore, Jr., Hal, who was our battalion commander, who is, since those days, my best friend in life, my co-author. I don't know what my life would have been if I hadn't met him, but surely far poorer and far different, far less. We all love him. He's a hard taskmaster. He's still working my ass off. We're finishing another book, which will be published Veterans Day 2008. Will probably be issued right here in Washington, D.C. a year from now. The title is We Are Soldiers Still, A Journey Back to the Battlefields of Vietnam. And I think it's a pretty good story, but he is sure working me hard. Hal, over to you.
Thank you, Joel. In short, the battle at LZ X-Ray, 14-16 November 1965, constituted the major turning point in my life. I had commanded my battalion for 14 months at Fort Benning, Georgia. I knew all my troopers pretty well, most of them, although we got a batch of new troopers in just before we left Fort Benning. But I had great company commanders, two of whom are sitting at this table with me, Tony Nadal and John Herron. We got to Vietnam and little or no action. We went to a base camp at An Khe, outside of An Khe village, and did some patrolling. And if you may recall, in those days, it was a draftee army. There were very few regular Army voluntary enlistees. Most of my troopers were drafted, one of whom was a great soldier sitting on my far left, Bill Beck, a draftee out of Pennsylvania, 19-year-old kid out of Pennsylvania. I would say my battalion, when we went into the Ia Drang Valley, my authorized strength was 750 officers and men, and due to discharges, soldiers returning back to America for discharge, a few men wounded, a few men with malaria and other tropical diseases, my total strength was approximately 450 officers and men. Authorized strength was 750. So we went into this battle gravely under strength. But you don't think about that. You just think about accomplishing your mission. We were sent out to the central highlands of west of Pleiku for patrolling on the 10th of November. And we patrolled around the Plainview Special Forces camp for 2 or 3 days, made no contact worth mentioning. We captured a prisoner, evacuated him, and 5 o'clock in the afternoon, on the 13th of November, the brigade commander, Colonel Tim Brown, showed up at my location, dropped in a helicopter, and he said, "Hal, you're going to go into the Ia Drang Valley tomorrow morning. You've got 16 helicopters, and your mission is to search for and destroy the enemy." So I said, "What is the enemy situation, Colonel?" He said, "There are 3 battalions of fresh North Vietnamese, fresh off the Ho Chi Minh Trail, just crossed over from Cambodia into the Ia Drang Valley. And your mission is to find and kill those 3 battalions." Now, and up to strength, North Vietnamese battalion in those days was 500 officers and men. So we were going up against a possible 12 to 1,500 enemy with my 450 men. The major problem I had was, having selected my landing zone, the major problem was getting all my troops in before a fight started. And that was my big concern. It was about a 25-minute round trip by helicopter from the pickup zones around Plainview Special Forces Camp to the landing zone in LZ X-ray. So my apprehension was that we would get into a hell of a fight before I had all of my understrength battalion in to the battle area. And that's exactly what happened. I landed with in the first area. I was the first man on the ground, first boots on the ground, out of Major Crandall's helicopter. And he was the pilot. And me and the sergeant major, my two radio operators, and my intelligence officer, Captain Metzger, hit the ground, firing our rifles into the trees, and I ran across a dry creek bed, and we made no contact. I was very happy about that. It told me that at least I could get a few of my men in before we made contact. And that was a hope which didn't work out. We captured a prisoner. Captain Nadal's, Captain Herring's company captured a prisoner. And I rushed over to that prisoner with my interpreter. And he was a scared teenager, no weapon, empty canteen, and he thought we were going to kill him. But we asked him what the situation was, and he said there are 3 battalions of North Vietnamese on the mountain, and they want very much to kill Americans, but they haven't found any. So at that point, I ordered Captain Herring to intensify his reconnaissance in that area, and shortly after that, all hell broke loose. And then I had Tony Nadal on the ground with his company, and I have never heard such a loud cacophony of noise. I pulled a chain on everything I could lay my hands on: fighter bombers, field artillery, mortars. The enemy was firing, and that started the fight. And it went on nonstop for 2 days and 3 nights. I lost 79 men killed and 121 wounded, and none missing. My proudest accomplishment in my life, my proudest accomplishment is I have never left one man missing in action or prisoner of war on the battlefield.